Good evening. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. There's a few things I want to share with you today. First, welcome to Pearls of Wisdom for this week. Thank you for joining on the live. And if you're catching this on YouTube, thank you for watching as well. Hi, Keisha. So, this is going to be an interesting Pearls of Wisdom. But first, I just want to do a health check on everyone because so much is going on in the world right now. And there are teachers who are sitting at home jumping up and down because they're off work for a few weeks. There are parents who are trying to figure out how they're going to feed these kids for 2 or 3 weeks. I think out here they just added another week. So now they're out through the first week of April. So now you got, thanks Keisha for loving the earrings. I got these from my friend Keisha Mack. They're paparazzi. So, yeah, I'm just wondering how folks are out there doing. How are you doing? I know there are some parents who are like, okay, I can feed my kids, but do you know how much they eat? And then if you go in the grocery store, I went today. And I live by myself. I don't shop a lot, but I went to the grocery store and there was hardly anything there. And I'm going down the aisles like, what the heck am I going to piece together? And you should have seen, I felt so bad for the men in the meat department because there were people, they had just gotten in a shipment and people were jumping on him. He could hardly get the chicken wings into the case because everybody's like, chicken wings! Like, it's just so crazy these days. So just hopefully everyone is doing well. You got all the food you need. Just understand that there are some of us who are still working and some of us are in what they call essential jobs. I'm still trying to figure out how my video is pausing. I don't know why, Keisha. I don't know why it's pausing. Anyway, I'm going to keep talking. Hopefully it catches up. But anyway, I know that I lost my train of thought. That people are out there getting food and all that. Just understand there's some of us in what they call essential jobs. That's what I was saying. I don't know how my job is essential, but that's beside the point. Hey, Nakenji, love you back. But so they're going to replenish some food. You don't have to get food until rapture. They're going to replenish toilet paper someday, I hope. So you didn't have to get enough to last you to 2022. But anyway, so hopefully you all are doing well. But I do want to share with you some things that I learned over the weekend. So this past weekend, I had the honor of being a guest with my friend and her daughter, as her daughter was a Disney dreamer. So that's 100 students, high school students across the country who have been selected to go to Disney World, and they have these wonderful events for these kids, different sessions and modules and programs and so forth for them. And it was very, very exciting to be just almost like a fly on the wall to watch it and to see these kids and see the hopes and the dreams. You could just see it in their eyes. And we were there for the parade, the opening parade. And so I think hopefully you saw my Facebook Live on that, where the kids got to parade around in Disney World so people can see that they were Disney dreamers. Unfortunately, later that night during their opening ceremonies, they were told that the event was going to be canceled. And I wasn't in the room where it happened, but I can just only imagine how for some of those kids that light probably dimmed just a little bit. And I had a feeling it was going to happen. I actually was surprised they hadn't canceled it before we had gotten there, because one of the main sponsors we got a letter saying that he wasn't going to be there. So I had a feeling something was going to go on. And I'm telling you, this had to be heartbreaking for these students, especially those who are seniors, who are saying, I don't know if I can come back next year, or what's going to happen to us for next year. How is this situation ruined for us? But hey, Pam. Hey, cousin Marcus. But one of the things that I have to give these kids credit for is they made the most of that situation. Once the tears dried and they got over the initial hurt of it, they decided, okay, we're going to make the most of this situation. Now, let me tell you something. I'm one of those people, I can learn from anyone. I can watch certain situations and see how people respond to it and learn something from it. I don't care if you're older, younger, wiser or not, I can learn something. And I learned a lot from these kids this weekend. These kids decided, okay, we're here, we're going to make the most of it. Now, unfortunately, for some of them, their parents took them home the next day. So they missed out on some really cool stuff that the kids ended up doing. Hey, Anita. So what they ended up doing is they got together. They would go to the parks during the day, and at night they would gather together as a group. And in one of these nights, they realized that some of the speakers who were supposed to host some of those modules or so forth were still there. And so some of those speakers said, hey, I'm here, let's make the most of it. So instead of these kids being in these big rooms with these people, just looking at them from afar, they were able to get some one-on-one coaching and training with these folks they never would have gotten had the Disney Dreamer Academy not been canceled. And in one of the nights, I loved it. The kids were like, well, we brought these fancy little clothes to wear for our commencement ceremony. We're going to dress up in our clothes and go meet with one of the people and just sit around and chat. Now, me and my friends who were there, we went and watched it. Now, let me tell you something. God is so amazing. He is so amazing. Here's why. Because earlier that day, I was thinking, maybe they're going to close the airports. Maybe I should rent a car and drive the 12 hours back home. Now, I was going to do this by myself. And of course, my two friends weren't going to allow me to do that by myself. But anyway, I digress. So, and it wasn't because I got caught up in, hey, Simone, it wasn't because I got caught up so much in the hype of everything that's going on with regard to the coronavirus. That wasn't it. I was just watching social media and news feeds and seeing all this stuff that's happening. They stopped this kind of travel. They closing schools. They're doing all this other stuff. And then I was in anticipation of what may happen, had decided, well, maybe I'll just drive home in case they close the airports. Now, could I have gotten a car once they closed the airport? Maybe, but then a lot of people would have been renting cars. So I had decided to do that. And then my friends and I had decided, well, one of them said, one thing we haven't done is we haven't prayed about the situation. So you need to make sure you got the right people around you. My friends and I, in the middle of Disney World, on our way to the Tower of Terror, and that's a whole nother story in itself. But anyway, on our way to the Tower of Terror, stood in the middle of Disney World and prayed. And it just, I can't speak for them, it calmed my spirit. Not that I was very anxious, but it just calmed me to the point where we said, okay, we're just going to sleep on it and whatever, and go the next day. Now, had we rented the car, our plan was to go out to Disney Springs, used to be called Downtown Disney or whatever. And so we would have missed the opportunity with the students when they had their one-on-one session with the speaker. So when we decided not to rent a car, we go back to the resort and we have dinner, and then we decide we're going to go and check out where the kids are. So me and my other friend, who's the other guest, we decided, hey, Keisha, soror, my soror, we decided to sit back and not go over to where the kids were. We could see they were sitting on couches, sitting on the floor, all around with this speaker. And my friend whose daughter was there said, no, come on over. So we come on over, and the speaker, I'm not going to mention her name, but she's a life coach, somebody I'm very familiar with. I had seen her on television, knew about her. I know she's a motivational speaker as well. Here's God again. So I'm standing there, and as you all know, I am recently became a certified life coach, and I have an amazing life coach now. Don't get me wrong, I have an amazing life coach. She's helped me so much. But sitting there watching this lady with these teenagers around her, I promise you, it seemed like every time she looked up, I felt like she was looking at me. And as she was speaking, I just felt God saying, this could be you. If you just do the things you need to do, this could be you. because I have a heart for young people, maybe not so much teenagers, but young adults. And there's some things I want to do, especially with young ladies, to help them. And the whole time I'm sitting there, and I felt as she was talking that she was talking directly to me. And that also the Holy Spirit was telling me, I'm showing you your future. Now, none of this would have happened had me and my friends and I stood in that park and prayed, had decided that we were just going to slow down, enjoy the evening, make our decision the next day on whether we were going to drive home or not, and making the most of the situation that was there. So the students were able to, they were sitting right next to her and asking her questions, and great life questions they were asking, and great information she was giving them. And these kids spent the rest of the weekend bonding and getting to know each other in ways that they wouldn't have been able to do so before. They got a chance to meet with various speakers who were in the room and getting one-on-one time with them that they wouldn't have been able to do so otherwise. I also got a chance to speak with that life coach, just to thank her and tell her that whether she knew it or not, she impacted me in that situation. So what I'm saying, in the middle of all this coronavirus stuff that's going on, right? Some of y'all losing your mind over toilet paper. There were kids out there in Orlando, in Disney World, making the most of a tough situation. Can you imagine that you are one of 100 students selected? How honored you feel in that moment. And you get there and you're seeing the excitement and all, how you're being treated and the hype and all this other stuff, only to be told that it was going to be canceled. And so I learned from these kids that no matter what happens, hey, my brother Patrick, no matter what happens in your life, you've got to take a look at it and say, how can I make the most of this moment? How can I make the most of this situation? Yes, we're going to have disappointing moments throughout our lives. That's always going to happen. But when I tell you all things work together for good, I keep saying that. I know in video after video, but I mean it, and God means it too. All things work together for good. Those kids would have never had that opportunity to meet one-on-one with those people. Some of those kids were given personal email addresses for some of these folks, not their business email, but their personal email, told to keep in contact with me. Hey, Martin, all kinds of good stuff. So I learned a lot this weekend. Oh, another thing I'm gonna tell you, yes, they closed Disney last night, but not one time in any of those parks we went to or anywhere on the resort did I see anybody walking around with a mask. Y'all, on the way to the airport, there was a couple there with a full, one of the emergency hazmat suits, the white outfit, completely covered, and a mask. But they made me take my sweater off to go through security. But these people had on a whole hazmat outfit. So anyway, the times are changing. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. But I'm going to tell you, make the most of the situation. Some of you are sitting at home because your job is closed for a week or 2 or 3 or whatever. Make the most of it. Is this the time to write that business plan that you've always wanted to write? Is this the time to work on that book that God has put in your brain for years that you were supposed to write? Make the most of this time right now. This is the time when great things can come out of it. And yes, Martin is absolutely right. God is in full control of it all. Full control, but all things work together for good. So if you're sitting at home, this is the time to spend quality time with your kids and get to know your kids. Hey, Dawn, this is the time to get to know your kids again and understand what's going on in their lives. This is the time for family bonding time. Family dreaming time. Sit down with your family and do a dream board. Have your kids do a dream board. You do a dream board. Do a family dream board, whatever. But make the most of these times, and just some good things are going to come out of this. I know right now we're all trying to figure out what's going on in the world, but again, He's got this. He's the one in control. And it's time for His people to do what we're supposed to do, but that's a whole nother subject. So, hey, sis Dawn, I love you too. Nikenji says, God's timing is perfect and He is in control. Amen. He definitely is. So, I had a great time this weekend at Disney. These kids taught me so much. about making the best out of any situation. And I encourage you in these few weeks that if you're at home, your job's not open, whether you're getting paid or not, and for those who aren't getting paid, there's so many wonderful people out there who are reaching out, buying groceries for people. I had a friend in Chicago buying groceries for folks, and another friend from high school who told people, let me know if you need anything and I'll go out and buy it. There's some beautiful people out there. We can take care of our own. We certainly can. So anyway, have a fantastic week. Make the most of all this. Don't buy so much into the hype. I'm not telling you not to be cautious at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying make the most of this time and have a fantastic week. Hey Marcel, how are you? Tell Bill I said hello. Anyway, you all have a great week. This is this week's Pearls of Wisdom. More to come. And I love you guys. All right, peace and blessings. Bye-bye.